Good morning. I am Dr. Anil Kumar. I am going to talk on pedistram's room cultivation. Scientifically, it is known as Volvarella volvaceae. So let's start with brief introduction about pedistram's room. It is known as war mushroom because it grows at relatively high temperature as compared to other mushroom. As far as its cultivation is concerned, its cultivation was first started in China in 1822, whereas in India it was introduced in 1942 in Tamil Nadu state of India. This crop can be cultivated both outdoor as well as indoor. So let's talk about some important point about pedistram mushroom. Pedistram mushroom has higher protein content and it is rich in potassium, iron, calcium, and vitamins. And under this crop, with low investment, we can get higher profit because the per kg cost of pedistram mushroom, it can vary from 120 rupees to 400 rupees. And as far as the marketing of pedistram mushroom is concerned, it is very easy in those areas where it is popular, especially like as in case of coastal region of India, uh, in case of Odisha and southern part of India, like Tamil Nadu state. And this crop is comparatively resistant to various biotic and abiotic stresses as compared to other cultivated mushroom in India. There are different stages of pedistram mushroom crop, which are pinhead stage, button stage, then egg stage, then elongation stage, and mature stage. All the stages of pedistram mushroom have important role and they can vary in the nutrition value also. Like button stage and egg stage and elongation stage, these stages are comparatively rich in protein content as compared to our mature stage. This pedistram mushroom is scientifically belongs to the genus of Bolvarella, and as the name indicates, Bolva, the button stage and the egg stage, they are covered by a coat which is known as wheel, and at the later stages, like in case of your elongation stage and mature stage, in these two stages, the coat of the fruit body, they come down, and the pilius and the stipe of fruit body, they pushed out, and the bulba, they remain at the base of the stipe only, and that remain portion of the veil at the bottom, it is known as a bulba, and because of this it is the genus called as Bolbarella. And then let's talk about some optimum growing conditions which are required for the successful cultivation of pedistram mushroom. Pedistram mushroom can be cultivated in the temperature range of 28 to 38 degrees Celsius. And the ideal temperature for spawn run is 32 to 35 degrees Celsius, while for fruiting, it requires temperature between 28 to 32 degrees Celsius. And the optimum relative humidity for this mushroom is 80 to 85%. Then spawn and the strain of pedistram mushroom are very important to have higher yield from different strains. And important commercial strain of pedistram mushroom are Diamaro 247 and Diamaro 484. And we should always purchase and procure the culture and spawns from the certified source to have good crop yield. And we should use fresh spawn as much as possible. And in case of pedistram mushroom, we can't store the culture of pedistram mushroom at room temperature or 25 degrees Celsius temperature, we should store it at 16 to 17 degrees Celsius. Only then we can maintain the viability of a culture of pedistra mushroom. Then when we talk about the cultivation, the substrate materials are very important. And if the substrate material is locally available, then it is very good. And it can also help us in reducing our input cost. And important substrate for paddy mushroom cultivation are paddy straw, cotton ginning mill waste, banana waste, and sugarcane waste. These four are the major uh, substrate for paddy mushroom cultivation. And beside these substrate, many locally available substrates or material or agro waste are also used for paddy mushroom cultivation. Then cultivation method. There are four important cultivation method for pedestal mushroom, which are bundle method, bed method, case method, and indoor method. Bundle method and bed method are very commonly used method of cultivation under pedestal mushroom in India. Whereas the last one, indoor method, it is a refined one, and it is the recent technique for pedestal mushroom cultivation in India, and slowly people are adopting this method for pedestal mushroom cultivation to have more yield as compared to our traditional method. So let's talk about some important steps in the pedestal mushroom cultivation. First, we will talk about the traditional method. Under traditional method, this is very simple method, and under this method, the substrate, as I have already told you that pedestal and your sugarcane waste, banana waste, like this, we use this material as substrate. And the first step is the wetting of the substrate. And wetting is done for 10 to 12 hours, and thereafter we go for drying to have that desirable level of moisture in our substrate material. Then the spawning or seed sowing is done, and at the same time we can also do the supplementation with the nutrient rich material like your red gram, etc., or the powder of any pulse crop. Thereafter, we target the sporan, and the optimal temperature I have already told, 32 to 34 degrees Celsius. Thereafter, cold stock is given to induce the primordia or the pinhead from the mycelium of a pedestal mushroom. Then the crop, it require fresh air to produce the quality food body. Then relative humidity is required to be maintained. Light is also very important. This crop, it require light for 8 to 12 hours a day to have the good quality fruit body, and thereafter the harvesting. And under traditional method, we can get 10 to 12% biological efficiency. And when we do wetting under traditional method, then what we can do, we can prepare the bundles of pedestra, and then for the quick wetting of the substrate, the straw bundles are kept in vertical position, and from the top water is added. And while doing such practices, we can reduce the wetting period, and we can complete this process within 6 to 8 hours only. And if we keep the straw position horizontal, or if we spread the paddy straw in the horizontal position, then it will take more time. It may take uh, 1 to 2 days. And this way, if we keep it in the means vertical position, then we can reduce the time period of wetting. And for the bed preparation, the bed should always be prepared on the raised platform to avoid the contact of paddy straw from the soil. And the ideal size of your bed, it should be 1.5 to 3 cubic feet. And the thickness of the layer, it should not be more than 15 centimeter, because in the bed method or in the bundle method, layer spawning is done. So we have to keep in mind the thickness of the layer. It should not be more than 15 centimeter. And then the spawn rate, it should be 1 to 2.5%. And accordingly, as per the weight of wet substrate, we have to add the spawn in the wet straw. And accordingly we prepare the bed in the natural, under natural environment and under low cost huts. And then we will talk about the semi-composting method. In traditional method, I have told you that simply wetting of the substrate is required. We are not doing the composting under traditional method, whereas under semi-composting method, substrate is composted for 4 days. So step by step, I will tell you about the semi-composting method. Under semi-composting method, wetting and mixing. Here in this case, substrate, nitrogen source, and lime. Three important ingredients are there which are required under this method. And uh, both all these three ingredients are mixed properly, and thereafter the pile of the substrate is prepared. And after preparing the pile, the the material is composted for the next 4 days. And every day we break the pile, and then we do mixing of the ingredient. And then we add water also. If that material, if the material is in need of water, only then we can add water. And after doing composting for 4 days, then we lift that material to the rooms, on to the growing room, and we put that material on the racks, either by preparing a small bed, or just by preparing one bed on a single rack. And then the room pasteurization, with the help of boiler, we increase the temperature of that growing room between 60 to 62 degrees Celsius for 6 to 8 hours. And thereafter we do conditioning of the compost at temperature 45 to 50 degrees Celsius for 3 days. Thereafter, then we open that growing room, and then we go for spawning. And the spawning under semi-composting method, that stop spawning is done. Spawn is added in the holes uh, of up to 5 to 6 centimeter depth. And like in traditional method, we can add supplements uh, at this stage. And the other steps, like your spawn run, cold shock, fresh air, relative humidity, light, fruiting, all steps are similar to your traditional method. And in traditional method, I have already told you about the cold shock, then fresh air. Fresh air is very important to maintain the desirable level of carbon dioxide in the growing room. And only then we can maintain the quality of our food bodies. And the relative humidity, very well known factor for the proper growth and development of mushroom. What we need not to create the excess humidity or misty environment in the growing room, otherwise there will be a chances of bacterial infection in the crop. And light is also required to have the original character of the variety which we are cultivating in our mushroom house. And for fruiting, we require comparatively less temperature, that is 28 to 30 degrees Celsius. And the most important advantage of semi composting method is that we can harvest more mushroom as compared to our traditional method. And we can harvest up to uh, 25 to 30% biological efficiency under this method. And one more advantage is that the occurrence of diseases and other uh, biotic stresses are comparatively very, very less as compared to traditional method. And other management practices are also very easy as compared to traditional method. And under semi-composting method and indoor method of pedestrum home cultivation, crop is cultivated on the racks and and indoor, as the cultivation is done indoor, so every factor can be maintained properly and we can harvest more crop as compared to traditional method. So let's talk about some problematic issues or the diseases. There are three important diseases: brown plaster mold, green mold, and coprinus, which which can create problem to us during pedestrum room cultivation. And what are the reason for their occurrence? Like in case of brown plaster mold, if if excess water is added during the compost preparation and the compost is very much compact, then there will be a chances of appearance of populospora or brown plaster mold in the growing room. And then the green mold. Green mold, it will appear only when the pH level of the substrate, it will be in the acidic condition, like it is if it is below 7, then it is easy for the trichoderma species to attack our uh, mushroom growing bed and bags. So for their management, we can maintain the desirable level of pH of the compost, that is alkaline condition, and or it should be between 7.2 to 7.8, like that. Then we can prevent the infection of trichoderma. Then the coprinus, because in case of indoor method of composting or indoor method of pedestrum room cultivation, we also add the nitrogen source. And the common nitrogen source in the compost are your chicken manure and wheat bran. And if we add higher doses of these nitrogen sources, then there will be a very prominent chances of appearance of uh, diseases like coprinus. And these coprinus, they are just like the mushroom fruit body with long stipe and small bilious. And if we press on the top of the fruit body, then there will be a oozing of ink-like fluid from the top, and because of that, it is known as your ink cap. So by adding proper doses of nitrogen sources, we can prevent uh, coprinus occurrence in our mushroom house. So let's talk about some more important fact about Bolbarella bolivacea or pedestrum mushroom. As those who are already doing pedestrum mushroom cultivation, they are very well known that the shelf life of pedestrum mushroom is comparatively low, and it is 6 to 7 hours when harvested at a mature stage. And it may be one day when harvested at button or egg stage, or maybe at a elongation stage. And it can't be stored in the refrigerated condition or 4 degrees Celsius. And if we put under such condition, then the fruit body, it will become into liquid form within 2 to 3 hours only. And this mushroom, due to its perishable nature, it requires immediate marketing or processing facilities. Only then we can get the full benefit from this crop. And let's now come to the conclusion. I have told that complete technology, traditional method I have told, then the indoor method I have told. And beside that, I have also told that it require immediate marketing and processing facility, being its a perishable nature. But overall, pedestal mushroom cultivation is simple as compared to other commercial mushroom. And if we talk about the taste, it is a tastiest mushroom and nutritionally superior if we compare, generally we compare it with the other mushroom. And for the pedestal mushroom cultivation, all technologies are available: production, protection, processing. So with these words, I invite all of you to adopt this mushroom for the commercial cultivation of mushroom. And with these words, thank you so much.